1.3 homework, max min problems. So we're going to take the number 1 and we're going to write the following equations in vertex form. Okay, by completing the square. And we're not going to use decimals. We're going to use reduced fractions. That's going to apply to, I believe, B and C. Okay, so 1a, we have y equals 3x squared plus 12x minus 7. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to group the first two terms, and we want to divide out the coefficient of x squared. So the whole coefficient, however, even though the first two terms have an x in them, we're not dividing that out. X squared plus 4x. Okay, and then just bring down that negative 7. So now what we want to do is we want to take this x term and go to the side of our paper, and we want to divide it by 2. So 4 divided by 2, and then we want to square it. Okay, so we have 3, and then x squared plus 4x plus 4 minus 4 minus 7. So we want to take that 4 and we want to add it and subtract it. Okay, don't get into the habit of deleting these. We're going to add the 4 and subtract the 4 in order to make this equation look a little bit different. Okay, so, because now we can manipulate it. So this negative 4 we bring outside the bracket. And because it was inside the bracket and this 3 is a common factor of the bracket, we're going to multiply that by 3. So what we're left with is 3. We have our trinomial, x squared plus 4x plus 4. And then we have negative 7 and then negative 12. And our last step is that we're just going to factor this trinomial. It's always going to be a perfect square. So x plus 2 squared is always going to be x plus or minus a number squared. Okay, and then we want to simplify this. So we just converted the original into vertex form. If you were asked to identify the vertex, it would be negative 2 comma negative 19. Remember that there's a built-in negative sign inside that bracket. So instead of it being a 2, which it looks like, it's actually the opposite. We negate it. So B, y equals negative 2x squared plus 5x plus 11. So we're going to bracket the first two terms, and we're going to factor out the entire coefficient of x squared, so negative 2. Okay, so we have y equals negative 2 x squared minus 5x over 2, and then plus 11. Okay, so just like normally, we take this 5 over 2, and we divide it by 2. Okay, in other words, 5 over 2 times 1 over 2. Remember, when we're dividing fractions, we flip and multiply, or you can just do it on your calculator. So 5 over 4, and we take that number and we square it. So I get 25 over 16. Okay, so we do the exact same thing despite if it's a fraction or not. Okay, so 5 over 2, we divided it by 2, then we squared it. So inside of that bracket, what we're going to do is we're going to add that number and subtract that number. Okay, take this negative 25 over 16 and we're going to bring it out of the bracket. But because there was a negative 2 on the bracket, we're going to multiply by negative 2. So we're left with a trinomial in the bracket, x squared minus 5 over 2x plus 25 over 16. And then we're going to have plus 11, and then, so this is multiplied by negative 2. We can just simply go negative 50 plus 50 over 16. Okay, so this trinomial we're going to factor. What two numbers multiply to 25 over 16 and add to 5 over 2? Well, I'm going to give you a hint. This is a little cheat way of doing it. This number here is always going to be the number that was divided by 2. So 5 over 4. So we're going to have x minus 5 over 4 squared. Because this here is a subtraction, our number in the bracket will also be a negative number. Okay, and if you wanted to find a common denominator for 11, we would get times 16 over 16. So 11 times 16 is 176 plus 50. So we get an answer of y equals negative 2, x minus 5 over 4 squared plus 226 over 16, which reduces to 113 over 8. Again, if you wanted to do the vertex of this one, you would do 5 over 4, positive because this is negative, comma, 113 over 8. Okay, and C, y equals 3 over 2x squared. Okay, and C, y equals 3 over 2x squared minus 9 plus 10. So y equals 3 over 2x squared minus 9x plus 10. Okay, so the exact same steps, doesn't matter if there is a fraction here. Okay, we're going to group the first two terms. We're going to divide out the coefficient of x squared, so 3 over 2. Okay, so we're going to get y equals 3 over 2 x squared. Now, if you don't know what negative 9 divided by 3 over 2 is, take it to the side of your paper, write it beside each other, and we know that we have to flip and multiply this. Okay, so I get negative 18 over 3, which I then get negative 6. Right, the negatives don't matter because we're going to add it and then subtract it anyways. So I get 6, and then what we do is we square that number and I get 36. So going back over here, oh no, I get negative 6. So sorry, 9 divided by 3 over 2 is negative 6. Okay, so we get negative 6x and then plus 10. Okay, so we take this middle number, which is 6, again, side of our paper. This is the one that we complete the square with. We divide by 2 and then we square it. So we get 3 squared, which is 9. Okay, so what we're going to do is inside of this bracket, we're going to add 9 and we're going to subtract 9. Okay, so this plus 9 minus 9 allows us to make our equation look a little bit different. This negative 9 we're going to bring outside of the bracket, multiply it by that common factor. So we're left with a trinomial in the bracket, and then plus 10 minus 9 times 3 is 27 over 2. So the last step here is just to factor this. So we know it's going to be a negative inside the bracket, so x minus, and whatever this number is going to be squared because it's in vertex form. Okay, so what two numbers multiply to 9 add to 6? Well, 3 and 3. All right, the other way that we can do it is like this cheat way where it's going to be actually this number, the original 6 divided by 2. And now we're going to add 10 minus 27 over 2. Well, 27 over 2 is just 13.5. So 10 minus 13.5, I get negative 3.5. Okay, if this asks us to identify the vertex, it'd be 3, comma, negative 3.5.